Okay, what just happened? We're supposed to have a normal intro. Give me a sec. Is anything running even? A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. Let me listen to my sound real quick. Okay, what just happened? I have no clue what just happened, but anyhow, hello everyone, guten tag, bonjour, dobry den. This is me, Zeno, today talking to you. Now, to be honest, it's always just super hilarious that I pop up on and actually do these streams because, not gonna lie, it's pretty late. It's pretty tough already. But hey, we have made a promise that we're going to stream at least once a week. And I was supposed to do this on Wednesday, I believe. No, on Tuesday. And I'm doing this today anyway. So, uh, you got the thumbnail right. You got that all right. Guys, today we are going to talk about a very, very interesting topic. It's not going to be a long stream, that I can promise you, because I'm only watching one video today, but you're definitely going to love it because we are talking about, yep, the storylines of cheating. Now, wait, I actually like this background. Ha, let us, should it spin? Should it really spin like this? Wait, give me a sec. Boom, boom. Yeah, okay, I don't like it. I don't like it. Take it off. Take it off. Give me a sec. I have to really do a couple more things before we get started. I tried upgrading my server. It didn't go as well as I thought it will. And now, yeah, now I'm basically doing it all false. Huh. Am I sharing anything right now? No, I'm not sharing. Give me a sec. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, actually, I have no clue how I've done this, but anyhow, this is going to be more of a recording. I'm basically just recording it. I'm recording the reaction to the video, and you're going to watch it live. So, yeah, feel free to comment whatever you wish for. Feel free to interact because I had a lot of requests once we talked about which was the last stream. I believe it was on the male fantasy, on the cool girl being the ultimate male fantasy. And I had this video pop up in my feed, so decided, yeah, what worked once might actually work twice. So if we're talking about wrong things and how men and women in particular often get them too wrong, then why not talking about one of the, yeah, basically worst things you can do in any relationship, which is cheating, and particularly how it is portrayed in cinema. Without further ado, I will start the reactions. So, cheating storylines are lazy. I believe we're going to be talking about cheating in relationships and also about the particular mix of how it all just goes in there, you know? What I really hope that our creator Tron is going to discuss is basically why it is glorified. Because from the thumbnail, on the thumbnail, I don't think if you know if you can see it, but basically, yeah. Well, I'm actually Google it so that you could find it better. Give me a sec. Boom. Story. And then boom. I just wanna Oh yeah, I just wanna have the thumbnail for you. So I haven't watched I have watched two out of these shows. In this one, we have Ross and Rachel. In this one, we have Schmidt and Cece. Both stories are glorified. Both, I don't know about this third couple. I don't know what's their name. I don't know what show it even is. I don't actually care for the moment. Maybe I'll care throughout the video. But these two storylines, they are glorified. Truly, we are shown that we're supposed to root for this couple, no matter for these couples, no matter what happens, even if it would have been morally wrong by anyone else. At the end of the time, hey, turns out, well, someone else was a jerk, so they were kind of right. And sure, some discussions on Reddit might tell you otherwise. Some discussions on Reddit are like mine, that why are we actually glorifying this stuff? But it's not what the script writers had in their mind. So I really hope that the video is going to talk about this. And yeah, now I suggest that without further ado, let's get into the video. Boom, boom, boom.
But that you needed to see her to test how you felt about me. I don't forgive you for that, Corey.
No! You told me to see her, Topanga. You told me to see how I felt.
Such an emotional start already.
And you listened.
No. I can't. You're a totally different person to me now.
Yeah.
I used to think of you as somebody that would never, ever hurt me. Ever. Can't. It doesn't matter what you say or
Quick, go into the comments and tell me if Ross and Rachel were on the break.
what you do, Ross. It's just changed everything. Forever.
You didn't want to hurt anybody? That's the best you can do, Schmidt? Really?
Actually, now remember Schmidt's stories live.
I don't know you. Goodbye, Schmidt.
They still ended up together.
So a couple months ago, I made a video about cheating in Disney Channel shows. And in that video, I talk about how kind of frustrating I find the whole cheating storyline. For the most part, I think that the cheating storyline is actually pretty lazy because it always seemingly comes out of nowhere, and sometimes the character that does the cheating feels like it was very incongruent to how
Let me actually look for that video also. Maybe I'll stay a bit longer tonight. Let me actually look for that video as well.
Normally portrayed. But I do have conflicting feelings on it because there are other times where the unexpected nature of a cheating storyline is also what makes it so realistic, because obviously you never really expect to get cheated on. It does really just come out of nowhere. So when these characters just out of nowhere are like, yeah, I cheated, it feels realistic to how you might find out in real life. But I always think that it's interesting how cheating storylines are used and how almost every single major popular couple in TV shows have a cheating storyline. It's because
Did Penny and Leonard have a cheating story? Well, they had that Raj almost slept with Penny, but I don't think it was really a cheating story. They weren't dating back then.
cheating is used as a plot device for sitcom to introduce tension and conflict and just create a lot of drama. And depending on the show, there might
this girl's name that Schmidt also dated. I forgot it already.
be different approaches to how the cheating is handled. Sometimes it's handled in a very comedic manner, where the characters make jokes about the circumstances under which the cheating happened, and other times it's treated very sincerely and has a huge emotional impact on all of the characters in the show. Cheating storylines also sometimes teach us a lot about the characters. Sometimes it's really used to highlight character flaws that a character might have, or it's used as a jumping off point for a moral lesson or a redemption arc for that character. So today I think I'd talk about more of the popular cheating storylines in TV shows. And really
just tell me who that other couple is.
Look at how they were handled and what the impact was and how effectively they were used in that show. So let's start off with the infamous Ross and Rachel cheating plotline. Now, this storyline is actually super infamous because it's one of those storylines that is really left up to a lot of ambiguity. Depending on where you stand, you might walk away from this incident thinking that either the cheating did happen or that Ross was fully justified in what he did. Ross and Rachel's relationship is pretty much the center point of the Friends TV show. It starts off with Ross being hopelessly in love with Rachel, she eventually reciprocating his feelings and them getting together, and then very quickly having them break up because of a cheating storyline. And pretty much for the rest of the show, you're left wondering if they will get back together or they won't get back together. And at the very end, they do. So the whole storyline pretty much kicks off around season.
To be fair, it's not that bad of a storyline. It's a bit forced, I would say. They throw in a lot of this weird stories like the Vegas wedding, like they throw in the baby eventually. I do believe the Emily part, it's very forced, but I would say it's not as bad as some haters would like to call it, because there's always two types of groups. There's one that loves Friends, and there's the one that always goes and says Monica and Chandler were better than Ross and Rachel. Now, maybe as a couple in general, and even their story, it's kind of good. There was no cheating. Chandler didn't cheat on Monica, although the scriptwriters had that in mind. But Ross and Rachel are much chiller than some haters push them. They're a bit forced, but not that much as some people hate them.
3, where Ross becomes increasingly jealous of Rachel's co-worker.
Hi, is Rachel there?
And who may I say is calling?
This is Ross.
Ross of...
Of Ross and Rachel?
Ross begins to feel like Rachel doesn't make enough time for their relationship, and he becomes increasingly jealous of this one coworker that she spent a lot of time with. Eventually, they get into a really big argument. In the heat of the moment, Rachel puts the idea out there that they should take a break.
There's a very good scene in that show where I believe Monica asks Ross, who is jealous of this Mark guy, and she asks him, do you think that if this Mark guy tries to make a move, that Rachel is going to be the one, that Rachel is going to just go and accept that move and not be loyal to you? Which, to be fair, is one of the let me actually find that scene real quick. Give me a sec. Monica confronts Ross about I will find this scene. Give me a sec. No. It's showing me Facebook Reels. I'm not that old. Rachel hates her new job. Give me a sec. Boom, 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 boom. And then she quits her job. And then I want to find this clip because it's like I said, because it's a very good, it is actually a very good quote. Let us look for it together. Come on, it's gotta be here somewhere. I will actually look for it because
No. I am.
It is actually a very good quote. Now look, I am not idealizing Ross. I don't think he was the best character. He had his obvious flaws, but I mean, the couple gets much more hate than they deserve. Wait, Monica talks with Ross about Rachel cheating. Come on, it should be somewhere out there. It should be somewhere out there. I don't think I'm gonna find. I'm gonna put it in the clip. If I upload this reaction, I'm gonna put it in the clip because it's taking too much time. But you got the point. That quote itself is basically a whole definition of this trust, and why actually I am against why Ross was jealous, and why it's one of those quotes that made me reconsider jealousy in general, I would say. It's such a good. I cannot find it. Wait, I think I googled it, so I at least can know the episode which it is. Now, screw it. It's my stream. I'm going to look for it, and then if anything, I'll just clip it out later on. I'll share the tab, of course. That's not the. Oh no. Aha, the confrontation regarding Mark takes place in season 3, episode 13. I might not actually need the video. I'll just show it to you. So what if he does want to sleep? Does that mean he gets to? Challenging. Yeah, the outcome is basically, like, is she going to really accept it? And that's actually what led me out for jealousy. Because hey, if she doesn't accept, then there's no point of really being jealous. If she does accept, then she was never for you. That's why, like, the whole jealousy point was a very good moment. This whole point was actually perfectly sad, because it's either way, it's a win-win scenario. You either see that she is loyal and we're a couple together until whatever breaks us apart, or you see that she was never for you and you were just filling whichever role. I want to find it in video, because in video it sounds more powerful. I'll Google it afterwards.
I don't know. Look, maybe we should just take a break.
Okay, fine. You're right. Let's take a break. Let's cool off, okay? Let's get some frozen yogurt or something.
No. A break from us.
Like, again, this is the moment where they break up, right? Now, you can probably say that after you break up, you don't just directly go and hook up with someone, but they break up. They are breaking up. This scene itself.
A break from us.
This scene itself, because he claims, let's get frozen yogurts. She says, no, it's not about frozen yogurts. We need a break from us. What possibly other context can this mean? And he's like, okay, if you want a break from us, he actually takes it, if you want a break from us, then probably we should. I'm not going to push you on this. Now, it doesn't mean you should go directly and hook up, as I said, but they clearly broke up. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't understand something. Help me out. Women, if you're watching this in the comment section, come on. Like, I know some are watching because I can check the percentage of my viewers. So I'm sure you have a thought or two on this.
Imagine being...
Oh my God, I forgot to set up. I forgot that I am kind of supposed to pay for premium. Give me a sec. Boom, boom, boom. Now.
Ross gets really upset. He runs off to a bar where he runs into a woman who has already been flirting with him, and one thing leads to another, and they sleep together. Now, the next day, Rachel really regrets her decision for wanting to take a break, and she tries to reconcile and have a discussion with Ross about the state of their relationship. Ross spends his day trying to...
Yeah, it's also very weird. Like, let's be honest, those words hurt. Like, if you hear these words and then all of a sudden tomorrow it's sunshine and butterflies, like, those words hurt. I'm not, oh my God, I'm actually gonna, I'm not glorified. I actually am super against cheating, guys. But of course they hurt. You can't just, like, forget about this. But yeah, let's keep watching.
Clean up the mess and make sure that his infidelity doesn't get back to Rachel. However, she eventually does find out, and it leads to this really huge argument. Rachel is really hurt by Ross sleeping with another woman, and they break up. Now, one of the biggest takeaway from this whole relationship was the "we were on a break" debate. And it became a reoccurring joke that the show would make when it came to Ross's character, that he wholeheartedly defends his decision for sleeping with another woman and doesn't think that it's technically cheating because Rachel had asked for them to go on a break. On the other side, Rachel doesn't think that it mattered that she asked to be on a break, but that the fact that he had sex with someone so soon still constituted being a cheating. And the "we were on a break" line became one of the more infamous gags throughout the entire show. Ross would continuously use this as a defense, and often at random moments would just blurt it out.
You slept with someone else?
We were on a break! And that's why, no matter what Mommy says, we really were on a break. Yes, we were. Yes, we were.
We were on a break!
Him being so persistent in the fact that they were on a break is the source of a lot of comedy throughout the show. Now, after they broke up, they never...
Look, you at least gotta give the man credit. He at least stood up by himself. Now, yeah, he technically lied then afterwards, but at least this idea he kept to himself. Oh my god, I'm Okay, never mind. Let's just watch it later.
Really got back together until the very end of the show. There were moments where they flirted the lines, where they maybe sometimes thought about it, where they would even have sex and had a whole child together, but never really committed to being in a relationship again.
Yeah, that's why I really felt super forced. It genuinely, truthfully felt forced. That's why I don't really like. I don't even not even against them making soulmates or whatever. I just don't like how they're throwing this story and then that story and then this story. Guys, just reunite them for freaking sakes.
The cheating really did separate them for a very long time. And immediately after that incident, one of the main sources of conflict were them trying to figure out who would get who in the friend group. And sometimes the friends felt like they had to pick sides until eventually they decided that they wouldn't let that ruin their friendship. Now, as far as cheating storylines go, I think that this one did it in a very unique way because it really does create this gray area where you could honestly justifiably defend either party.
Is he yelling at her? He's the one who slept with someone else.
Well, I guess he says that because they were on a break when it happened, that she should have forgiven him by now.
Whoa, he is so unreasonable. God. Although, I think I understand what he means.
There are people who agree with Ross and who question whether or not what he did actually cheating. And then there are people who agree with Rachel who thinks that it was enough of an emotional betrayal that it does constitute cheating. So it became like this real...
If you... Let's put it like this, because I did claim at the beginning that they had all cheaters on thumbnail. How do we define cheating? Because cheating is not action. It's not just the fact that you have sex with someone while you're being in a relationship. What at least, because let's even look like this, non-monogamous relationships do exist, or even the crazy relationships exist where you got all of these simps guys or whatever you call them. I just don't want to be too, I don't want to spill around too many inappropriate words, but yeah, like basically we could use the word simps for them, whose woman is walking all around and they're okay with it. Or the other side where the guys they have I don't know wait, oh my god, my words in English, they have someone aside, let's call it like this, with whom they sleep sometimes, but still the woman is staying with them, right? They don't consider this as cheating, because cheating, what actually I see it as a betrayal in terms of this emotional statement. The reason why Ross cheated is not because he slept with someone else while they were together. No, it's because the moment, it was really how fast it was, because it showed that, yeah, well, okay, if I can't have anything with you, I'm just going to go and hook up around with someone else. He didn't really go through all of this, all of the emotional, to at least how I see it, it felt to Rachel, right? He didn't She felt like all of the real part, all of this emotional part that really attached them, really flinked out the moment they separated, which is why she perhaps considered, which is why she considered it as cheating. Now, that's why I also think that Ross did the wrong thing, because yeah, if you're truly in love and then you end up, or yeah, I think they did say they were in love. So if you're truly in love and then you just find quickly someone else to share the bed in, like, what, couple hours it took him, yeah, that really might show a lot about the emotional attachment to that person. Now, was it really the case for Ross? Perhaps yes. Perhaps yes. I ain't gonna defend it. Perhaps it was. Perhaps it wasn't. That is actually a very complicated psychological and philosophical question. But that's what I wanted to clear. That's the whole basic topic of this cheating storylines, is that what do you define as cheating? There you go.
Really funny thing where you could be either Team Rachel or Team Ross, depending on how you feel about the whole cheating thing or what constitutes cheating to you. And I've never seen a show really do it like that before, where there was that amount of ambiguity into whether or not Ross was wrong. So I do think it was more of an interesting way to handle it. And honestly, everything leading up to Ross cheating did feel like there was a buildup. It didn't feel like Ross sleeping with that woman was so completely out of character, and it also didn't feel like, well, it just came out of nowhere. They were building up that tension and conflict in their relationship, where Ross was feeling insecure and jealous, that by the time he did do that, it did make sense. It didn't feel like it was just...
Now, keep in mind what I also think the guy is trying to say. He is not justifying. We're not saying what he did was right, but we're trying, because we are trying to figure out, let's say, from what the show gives us, we're trying to figure out the statement, we're trying to figure out this reason. It doesn't mean that someone did it right, or it doesn't mean that someone did it wrong. Well, in this case, we think it was wrong. But it's when people are trying to do this analysis, they're not defending the idea at first. They're trying to figure out the source of the problem, and then once they have it, some people might change their mind. I personally don't, but hey, I'm just one of 8 billion people walking around this earth, so you never know.
Rang on us. But at the same time, it really did just feel like they had this really popular couple that was beloved by everyone, and they were trying very hard to find ways to introduce conflict. And having them go back to season 1, Ross and Rachel era, where they weren't together, but there was this undeniable tension between them, that it kind of made sense to me that they felt the best way to do that would be to just break them up. And the biggest way to break them up would be to have a cheating storyline. Because when you think about it, Ross and Rachel's relationship is really one of the longest running plot lines of the entire show.
It literally runs the whole show. They start in the first episode when he talks with her while splitting Oreos, and it ends up in the final episode when she takes off the plane. It literally lasts the whole show.
A lot of ways, it is the main plot line of the entire show. So having them just be together for that long, I could see how it would get annoying to think of ways to introduce conflict in that. And I do think that the push and pull of will they or won't they was a lot of the draw that people had towards Friends, the TV show, whether or not Ross and Rachel would actually get together. So I think the writers just really wanted to maintain that for the next 7 seasons, where
that's the whole problem. Like I just said, I don't really think they're hated. That's another. I don't think they're. If they would have gotten together like much faster or without all of these stories, it could have probably been easier. But they just threw in so much in it. They threw in Emily. They threw in the Vegas wedding. They threw in the kid. They threw in Joey. They threw in literally almost everything they could possibly think of. And then when hot take, but I think that one of the reasons that Friends, that they decided to finish the show is because they were out of ideas what else to throw into this couple. I mean, they already gave them a baby. That should say something.
Would sometimes have them get back together very briefly, but always have them be separate so that there would always be that question mark of will they get back together. Overall, I thought it was really interesting, but again, it did feel like it was done just for the sake of creating drama. And it did a good job in creating that drama. Have you ever been
I believe this is an advertisement. So I'm just skipping it. Ha! Let's go to this couple.
About...
Not
now
that
let's
type,
talk
so, yeah.
about Cece and Schmidt from New Girl. So the Cece Schmidt infidelity is a really interesting one to me because, again, like the Ross and Rachel relationship, Schmidt had spent pretty much the beginning of the show pining over Cece. He was completely infatuated with her. He had always wanted to get with her. And when it eventually happened and they were together, it did kind of feel like not only a betrayal to Cece, but also a betrayal to us as the audience.
Wait, what happened? I believe in season 1 they slept together. Then Cece was getting married. At the same time, he ended up with his old... Oh, no, wait. Oh my god. Yeah, remind me, dude, how it actually went on.
That he would spend so much time wanting to be with her only to end up cheating on her. It was truly one of those rare cheating plot lines that actually angered me. For the most part, I don't really care about whether or not these characters cheat on each other, but I remember this being the first time I was genuinely so mad at a main character for ever cheating. So anyways, how did it happen? So by around season 3, after a really long time of hopelessly pining over her, Cece and Schmidt eventually start dating. However, after they start dating, Schmidt runs into an ex-girlfriend, Elizabeth, and he decides to start dating her as well as Cece at the same time, while not letting either of them know about the other. Initially, this was an easier concept to get on board with because the show...
I don't actually remember that plot line. I remember Cece was trying to get married, and then Schmidt was trying to break it up, and then eventually he did break it up. She didn't get married, but I believe he was already with this girl. Oh my god, this is... Instead of talking about cheating, we're just going to revisit old TV shows that I watched. Wait. So, post breakup. So they were already dating. Oh, right. Cece's dating Robbie in that, leading to Schmidt's. Yeah, that's where he ends up with his college ex. And then she asks her, what's the name? She asks her mother or something to make an arranged marriage. And then he doesn't want it to happen. But I believe he can't break up with Cece. Wait, so after can't let go. Yeah, they were dating in season 1, but they broke up. I now remember. I don't remember why, but I remember this happened. Yeah, then Elizabeth appeared. Then Cece gets engaged, but he can't let her basically get married, so he sabotages it. Yeah, I was paying too much attention to Nick and Jazz, to be honest, to care about these. So, but they definitely dated before season 3.
Show really only played it for laughs. There was humor found in Schmidt trying so hard to keep these women from ever knowing about each other. And in a way, you kind of sympathized with his struggle of liking both of them and not wanting to hurt the other. And there are a lot of really humorous, over-the-top moments where Schmidt would try to maintain both of the relationships at the same time.
This is throwing a party tomorrow, and I'd really like for you to be there.
Well, I have a photo shoot, but I think I could come after that.
Oh, yeah, well, that sounds good.
Who's that?
Mm-hmm. It's my doctor, Dr. Cover, Dr. Wyland Cover. He's my oncologist. His N oncologist.
However, eventually Cece and Elizabeth do find out about each other and they both break up with Schmidt. For the first time throughout this whole cheating scandal, it's not funny anymore, and the show actually treats it with a lot of sincerity. Schmidt really regrets his actions and hurting both of them, and it becomes a really huge turning point for Schmidt's character. It's the first time he really owns up to his failings as a person and generally wants to do and be better. The show actually explores how through Schmidt's actions, he genuinely really hurt Cece. After the breakup, Schmidt realizes that he really does want to be with Cece and he spends a lot of time trying to win her back. He confronts his own feelings of inadequacy and inability to really commit to one person, and he really overcomes his fear of long-term relationships. Honestly, I think the show did a really good job of redeeming Schmidt and having him really not only win his way back into Cece's heart, but also to us as the audience. Because it was really hard to root for Schmidt because the show also did explore how Cece was affected by the infidelity. Cece is deeply hurt by what Schmidt did. And after she ended the relationship, she cut all ties to him and was very distant towards him for a very long time. Even after she was able to kind of forgive him for what he did, she was still very guarded around him in the future. However, over time, Cece was eventually able to forgive him and trust him again, and they do reconcile and begin to date again. Schmidt did have to go through...
I actually don't remember that they begin to date again. He just directly proposes to her. Okay, let's check the dynamic of season 4 now. So season 4, they focus on the renewed. Yeah, they start being together as friends and all of this, on and gone. He tries to win her over. That was true. And then in the finale of season 4, he proposes. So single after her. Well, actually, that I don't remember. This part I do remember. Then after this, he becomes obsessed with her. Then, then she wanted to do some, but they don't eventually end up dating. So they're like, he just directly proposes to her. So you're actually 0-2 in this one, my friend.
A lot just to prove to her that she could trust him again, but eventually he becomes a much better person because of it and is able to work through a lot of his insecurities and eventually become a more mature person for her. Their reconciliation is a really big part of the show's overall plot, and it's really a testament to how much Schmidt had grown over the time that they were apart, that he eventually became someone worthy of her love and trust. I also really like that the show highlighted how Cece would still struggle a little bit to fully trust Schmidt, and that she would have this doubt of whether or not he would actually hurt her again. And I also really like how it was used as a catalyst to show Schmidt's growth as a person. So this one didn't really come out of nowhere. We were able to really see the development that eventually led to Schmidt's infidelity. And I also like that their reconciliation
We're also
happened.
not talking about a lot about it. Like, because from what we're seeing, we're now 2 out of 2 where basically a person cheats and then eventually the other one forgives them. Yeah, my only take is, although even Schmidt, with Schmidt, it wasn't even about the sex. With Schmidt, it was actually emotional. If with Ross, you could actually make this claim that it was purely because he slept with the woman and not that he really wanted emotionally to her Rachel. Well, yeah, but Schmidt also didn't want to hurt anyone. Oh, we're getting into too complicated things. I would call it to be honest, let's just finish the video and call it a day.
In a very organic way, where it wasn't rushed. We really saw Cece grapple with trusting him again, and we saw Schmidt working through his own problems to become a better person.
Basically what this shows, these 2 shows that we just talked about, they actually show that even after cheating, you can still end up, you can still have a happily ever after, let's put it like this. And my problem is with the message, Because no, I don't really think in real life. Sure, some people may have it. Some people may actually do it, but is there really a happily ever after in included in this? Can you actually have a happily ever after cheating? Like I said, it's not about the emotional. It's not only about the sex, it actually is about the emotional.
I feel like most shows really rush
Or
through
maybe it's like with surgeries, like a human surgery. For example, people who tore their ACL. It's never going to be the same leg. It's going to be a very different leg that you got to learn how to work with it. Eventually, you'll still be able to run and play whichever sport you play, but it's going to be a totally other thing in your leg.
the reconciliation part of cheating in a way that doesn't really feel believable, because most times when characters get back together after cheating, it really does just feel like out of nowhere. Like there's never really any justifiable reason for them to forgive the person, but it always just happens anyways. So I actually really did like how this show had a very mature approach
Why
to
did
cheating.
you then called the video cheating storylines are lazy, and you've spent 16 out of 21 minutes praising how they put the work? Yeah, this is the one show
Okay,
that
now we're going to be talking about another really famous case of cheating between Corey and Topanga in Boy Meets World. So Corey and Topanga, again, are one of those really iconic couples. They are
so
really
iconic
beloved,
that I've only heard of them for the first time today.
and a lot of people truly want the kind of relationship that they have. And watching their relationship develop and grow, it really does just feel out of character that Corey would ever cheat on Topanga. So when it happens, you're kind of like, huh? But they do go there because, again, when you have a really popular couple, you have to introduce drama and conflict, and one of the easiest way to do that is to have somebody cheat. But things got rocky when the crew went on.
Actually interesting that all of the times, at least in these 3 cases, is the guy. Are there any shows that show the woman cheating? That I would also explore.
A ski trip, and Corey meets a new girl called Lauren. Corey gets injured on the trip and he ends up spending a lot of time with this new girl. They have a really meaningful, deep conversation and eventually they kiss. Corey is immediately guilty and conflicted about the kiss, and she is really hurt by the revelation. Topanga is devastated by Corey's infidelity because she, like the viewers, always saw Corey as someone who would never hurt her or betray her trust. So him kissing another girl really destroyed the perception of the relationship she thought she had with him. Eventually, it becomes too much to bear and she decides to break up with him, unable to get over the breach of trust.
But that you needed to see her to test how you felt about me. I don't forgive you for that, Corey.
No! You told me to see her, Topanga. You told me to see how I felt.
After they break up, Corey
Not everything that a woman tells you should go do, man. That's just personal experience.
is really heartbroken, and he does try over and over again to explain that the kiss wasn't significant to him. However, when Lauren writes him a letter expressing her feelings for him, Corey admits that he did have some feelings for her, even though they weren't as strong as his love for Topanga. Eventually, they stay broken up for a while, and
He did the exact same thing that most guys do that are dumb. And I actually get it because, well, yeah. Personal experience. You don't always have to tell the truth. Of course, if you had literally zero feelings, you wouldn't have kissed her. You wouldn't have. Whoever just tells me, oh, it's just a kiss. No, there's never just a kiss. Some little thing has to be there. But you can't say it out loud. And unfortunately, some of the guys end up learning it too late. They're just stuff that you don't say. Again, was the cheating good? No. Was Was it justified that he didn't control his emotions or lust or whatever that was? No. But sometimes I'm not justifying it. I'm talking about a whole other case in which, yes, you were stupid.
Corey does try to reconcile with Topanga. She does forgive him, and they do end up getting back together. Now, this cheating storyline, for the most part, really frustrated me because it kind of encapsulated the feelings I have about a lot of cheating storylines, where in order to introduce some cheap drama or conflicts into a relationship, they have a character who has never shown any sign of doing anything like that to out of nowhere cheat on their partner. Like, Corey cheating on Topanga is the most out of left field thing that I could ever think of happening. It's so incongruent to how their relationship was portrayed and how his character was portrayed that it almost didn't make any sense. And it really did just feel like their relationship was so strong for so long, they felt like they had to introduce some sort of drama. And the kiss really did put their relationship to the test. So even though I ultimately was not a really big fan of this, I still understand why it was done. So yeah, those are generally my issues with cheating storylines and how I think some of them are done kind of well and how some
you literally gave us two other. You've been talking 16 minutes how the storylines were actually good.
of them are done really poorly. You know, this kind of makes me think about the other video I did about cheating in Disney Channel shows where Teddy and Spencer were the main couple in Good Luck Charlie, and he cheated on her. Out of nowhere, it just popped up one day that he cheated on her, and they broke up because I guess that's just the easiest way to break up a couple. But then they eventually got back together anyways. So
no, actually, a very good way to break a couple is what I believe they did in the same show where Cece and Schmidt played, New Girl, where they broke up Jess and Nick. Because what they basically were saying with that okay, they showed that they were together, but they were still not at the place that they both wanted to be or when they were both ready. And once they got to that place, they ended up together. That's probably why I like that show. That is one of the best couple storylines I believe that was written in sitcom history. Very big take, but that it is.
Miley and Jake were a couple for a really long time. But the interesting thing about that one is that Jake wasn't really in the show for a really long time. Like, there were episodes where they wouldn't even mention the fact that she had a boyfriend. So I think they did the whole cheating storyline just to get rid of him so that she could move on to Jesse, which makes the whole he could be the one storyline where she has to choose between Jake or Jesse just stupid in retrospect, because she chose wrong. So yeah, I just think that cheating storyline.
Yeah, I'm just done with your video because there's 20 seconds left and there's nothing extra that's gonna be said. Moral of the video, guys. Moral of the video. Don't cheat. Basically, don't cheat because yeah, just don't cheat. If you're even thinking about this, then what you should do is sit down, try to analyze your life and really think. I'm not saying go directly talk because that is also not a very good approach at the beginning, but just directly think about the why. I like that every single stream we end up with on this point, but you really need to consider why a thought like this of doing something that could be considered as cheating even popped up in your head. With that being said, this was me, Zeno, talking to you today. Like I said, like I promised, at least one stream weekly. And yes, next week, I hope I'm going to do it an earlier time. And we're bringing back one of the classic personas on this channel. You definitely saw my reactions on it if you've been subscribed for a while. So you're definitely going to enjoy it. I guess I'll see you then. Woo!